Greetings, chess players. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. And today I am excited. Let me. Why is my session counter on Twitch not counting? I don't know. It should be. Um, Today I am excited to bring another training game to you guys. I'm going to be playing a chess game against one of my very talented students. There it goes. It is that time of year where we start thinking about preparing students for the state scholastic championships. And in fact, California State Scholastic Championship is right around the corner. It's going to be returning to over the board format, which is wonderful. And the first of those starts, it's going to be broken up over several weeks. The first of those starts with the K to 5 section, March 19th and 20th. I will be checking into the different age group sections and maybe even doing a live broadcast from the tournament venue, as well as posting games to the dailychessmusings.com website. So be sure to watch that. In the meantime, let's get to the action. Let me get my chess.com screen up. All right, there we go. And I am going to be playing a simulated tournament game with one of my students. So when I say simulated tournament game, first of all, I don't. Let me switch to custom game and versus Bonsai Cat. But that's not right. I don't know why his name wasn't showing up in my friend list. Always something with my. Let's see if this is the right Bonsai Cat. I think it is. I think it is the right Bonsai Cat. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and send him a challenge right now, and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's the right Bonsai Cat. It'd be funny if it was just a random person out there. Waiting for Bonsai Cat to accept the challenge. Maybe I sent it to the wrong person. That would be kind of embarrassing. Usually my friends show up in my friend list, and I should have. You know what? Oh, wait. I think we're going. We are going now. Good. All right, so Bonsai Cat plays e4. Um, I hope it's the right Bonsai Cat, because Bonsai Cat usually doesn't play e4. Ah, I might be just playing a random person. All right. So we've got e4, e5, knight f3. Normally this particular student starts with c4. We've played several games of the English opening, but this time he's starting with a king's pawn opening. I'm going to go ahead and get into the Russian game. It's like a second or third favorite opening of mine is black. It's something I'm quite familiar with, but it's not my go-to stuff either. So, classical variation of the Russian game. You got to throw in this little pawn move here. See, I'll show you something real fast. You got to throw it. You can't. You shouldn't do this right away, because if you do this, there's this old trap that's pretty cool, and that is if queen goes to e2, and then you move your knight back, then white can move their knight over to c6, which is saying check, and their knight is attacking the square that you would be blocking with. Um, so you end up losing your and the queen. So you end up losing the queen in this variation. Let's see. Normally here, you're going to see d4, but certainly knight c3 isn't unheard of. I'm trying to remind myself of this theory. Normally I would take here, but I remember there's a piece of this theory that I messed up early on the last time I was playing. And I'm trying to remember what that was. Cannot remember my theory. Cannot remember my theory. I'm having a theory blank on this line. And this is a major one. This is like the Nimzovich something um, in the Russian game. So you know when you forget, and when I say theory, I don't do a lot of opening memorization at all. Mostly I know stuff from just looking through games of famous chess players. So when I'm talking about theory and stuff, let me make sure my windows are. Oh, good. Yeah, my windows are showing up good. Always good to check the OBS. It means going through my memory of famous games that I've seen before. I'm going to go ahead and move my d pawn a second time. I know moving the same pawn twice in the opening you usually want to avoid, but here it gains the center, occupies one square, threatens another square in the center. So it's a dangerous move, in the fact that white has a lot of open lines now. Already has a knight developed, has an open line for the bishop, an open line for the other bishop. Black, not so much. We don't have a piece developed. I think what I would like to do, if I had a bunch of moves in a row, what I'd like to do is do something like, some kind of setup like this, um, where I have a pawn chain going from b7 to d5. My knight on b8 gets to f6, um, and then of course castling would be an option. All that would be wonderful if I have time to do it. I don't think I'm going to get time to do it. I mean, I don't think Bonsai Cat's just going to give me 4 or 5 useful moves in a row. And Arcane Doctrine says I keep losing games to aggressive openings. Um, interesting. Interesting. Um, when you're faced with an aggressive opening, it usually means that your opponent is placing pieces in line for a quick attack, or sacrificing material to gain a quick attack. So if you can withstand, um, oftentimes if your opponent is playing a gambit, sacrificing some pawns to gain that quick attack, you can give a pawn back, um, and end up finding safety that way. And if they're lining up pieces early in unusual locations, you need to listen to what your opponents are saying with those moves. Chess is a conversation. So if you're not paying attention to what your opponent's pieces, their piece movements are saying to you, then you can lose a lot of games that way as well. All right, let's see. Always nice to have you on board for a broadcast, Arcane Doctor, and thanks for checking in. Okay, so my student, I'm working hard not to use his name. I'm a little sleepy today. Don't want to accidentally give away somebody's name when they're using an anonymous account. Let's see. I want to get castled. So I showed you all these various moves that I want to do, right? Um, Now I can't play Bishop D6 right away because then I'm just leaving that. Um, this was a slower move though. I don't really fear the Bishop E3, so I'm gonna play Knight D7. Uh, doesn't that just hang the D5 pawn again, Chris? What are you doing today? Oh, this is why it's dangerous to play chess, when you're tired sometimes. You really need to think through all your process. So I guess I'm playing a gambit of sorts. I'm allowing my student to take my beautiful center pawn that I've used 2 tempo on. Oh, Chris. I literally just said, no, I don't want to play bishop d6 because it allows said move. So then I do something else that also allows queen takes d4. I think what we see there is a mistake in the thought process. Um, so I got rid of one idea that I wanted to play. I showed you all these kind of piece developing moves that I wanted to do. I threw one of them out because it loses the center pawn. So I went with like Plan B, but I didn't go through and then check if Plan B was a. He didn't take my center pawn. Okay, so I think he should have taken my center pawn. I really, really do. I think that would have been a good. He just wants to castle queenside very quickly, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and fix my problem right now. I mean, a moment ago, uh, doesn't that just look like a good move? I mean, then this knight is pinned. Because if I move it over, then queen takes queen, and I lose my right to castle. I mean, it looks like a good move. We're gonna go back through this game at the end of the lesson, and um, it could be that he didn't want to take it because he figured I knew a trap or something. Honestly, this time I didn't. Um, I just messed up. All right, so I'm going to play knight f6, which takes care of that pawn and gets my knight to where it wants to be. And then I'm probably going to play bishop e7 and castle, and then pawn c6. But we'll see. White should not play any sort of bishop b5 check right now because that just helps black out. Lets black interpose and create the pawn structure he wants to do on white's time. So I need to be a little careful. I'm just kind of looking down the line. If my student does castle queenside, he will have a rook and a queen in a battery with the potential of pushing c4, and that could get a little messy really fast for me, opening up the d file when he's got pieces stack there, so I need to be a little careful about that. Okay, so in fact that is what happens. So now bishop to g4 seems like it's just going to speed up. I'm going to castle on the king side, so it seems like it's just going to speed up my opponent's pawn storm on my side of the board. Plus, there is that aforementioned idea of pawn c4 now that his rook and queen are nicely coordinated in the d file. So instead of playing like the bishop g4, which kind of looks like the most natural move, I'm going to play bishop e6. Are there major differences between? Yes. The big difference between playing openings as white or black is white goes first. So it's like in tennis, they're the ones who get to serve. So it changes the game a lot. Especially like for example, if you're thinking about playing a gambit, gambits are much easier to play as white than as black, because as black you're already kind of down that initial move. So I want to get this bishop to e7, and then I want to castle, and then push this pawn to c6. This is on my to-do list, my overarching goals for this structure. I'm a little concerned, just a little bit concerned about nonsense involving like knight d4 threatening my bishop here. Yeah, it is defended, but I really don't want to create a weak backward pawn on e6. Yeah, white is generally the preferred side, because, like I said, they get to serve. Um, Although sometimes it's nice to playing white means you're kind of steering the game from the get-go. Playing black, though, it means if at some point during the game you start being the one controlling the initiative and having more of the opening goals completed, you've turned the tables. Someone might prefer playing black, just for the psychological aspect of um, equalizing, and then obtaining an advantage as black means it's you've really outplayed your opponent. Um, at the non-grandmaster level, it happens quite frequently. At the grandmaster level, with less frequency. One of the things that made Bobby Fischer special was that he would try. He would try. Okay, looks like I could end up with an IQD, an isolated queen's pawn. Um, because remember, I said I wanted to play pawn c6, right? I'm not really thrilled with the way I'm handling the opening. I think I've already made some poor choices in the opening, but haven't been punished yet. So that'll be something that I'll be looking through with this student afterwards. Lily! Get some coffee.
Yes.
Can I have some coffee, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so he takes. Now I have a lot of options. Normally, my first preference would be taking back with the pawn, because it's maintaining a center pawn. It will be an isolated queen's pawn, though. A famous chess player said, I'm trying to remember which one it was, said that if you're afraid of playing with an isolated queen's pawn, you should find a new hobby. It's a funny quote. If you're afraid of playing with an isolated queen's pawn, you should find a new hobby. Meaning maybe chess isn't your cup of tea. Yeah, I'll take back. So I got the famous IQP, isolated queen's pawn. It's a target, but it is also a central pawn that is powerful. My opponent does not have any center pawns. So obviously the bishop b5 check is a little annoying, a little bit. I wonder what I'm going to do if bishop b5 check is played. Bishop d7 looks like, because my knight is still defending the pawn on d5. This is, I've considering how many times I've played Petrov's defense, I should feel comfortable in my position, and I'm not. I just don't feel like I have my best stuff today, but we'll see how it works out. Yeah, so if bishop b5, then I'm going to play bishop d7, because my knight on f6 is still defending this pawn. Now I'm down, a little bit time-wise, because I moved my center pawn twice, and I moved my knight twice. This knight that's on f6 came to f6 via d7 to f6. And there it is. And I play bishop d7. Then if he plays bishop takes, I play queen takes. And then I suppose his knight can be annoying. His knight can kind of hop in here. And then I'm really starting to feel some pressure. White's maintaining the initiative. We were talking about how white starts with the serve. It's like in tennis, and we're seeing that white is still steering this game. Aha! This is kind of mean, right? So he's gotten look at white's pieces. Black has a center pawn. Hooray for me, right? But look at white. White's got a rook now in the file of my king, meaning if this bishop moves out of the way, it is check. Meaning this bishop could like come down and say check and threaten my queen, right? Discover check, threaten the queen. The rook and the queen are lined up in a nice battery, right? We've got this kind of tension over here. So I don't want to take his bishop, obviously, because I would lose my queen. We already talked about that. So more than likely, I'm going to be playing bishop e7 here. But even bishop e7, I better really take my time here. Bishop e7 allows bishop f4, right? Oh man. I hope I'm not toast already. Hope I didn't mess this up already. I gotta analyze my checks, captures, and threats very carefully here. This is tough. How did I mess up this bad? Well, easy, easy. I moved the same knight twice. Oh man. You know, I'm not seeing I've really seems to have messed up this. I'm not seeing something that makes me very happy here at all. Um, all right, I think I'm going to trade. What I am going to do is trade. What I'm going to attempt to do is trade my queen for a bishop and a rook. All right, so again, the threat is something like this, which would be a check on the king plus threatening the queen, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and play into that threat. I'm going to play bishop takes b5. I know what the threat is. When this is played, then I'm going to block with my queen, so that when rook takes queen, I take with my bishop. And therefore, I have, yep, there it is, right? So I picked up a bishop. I pick up a rook. But I dropped my queen. Best I could do. Best I could do. So I'm only down 1 point out of material, and I should be able to castle and get safe. Yeah. Keep telling this particular student that if he plays against well, in this example, it's not so great because I did not handle the opening very well, um, but if this particular student plays against other people the way he normally plays against me, then he's gonna be doing great come state championship time. So it looks like this. He's gonna lose some time now. I was just gonna say it looks like he's gonna lose some time now, but now we're looking at even another possible trade here. So again, I have to analyze my checks, captures, and threats. Things are ridiculously sharp. Um, I mean, he's threatening my bishop. Obviously, I can threaten his queen in return. I, so um, all right. So I got a lot of options. A lot of options. One of them would be just taking the bishop, right? Doing this kind of trade, and that creates uh, a weakness down here. But I kind of don't want to trade too much because he does have a queen, and my pieces are not coordinated. So the trade I did almost equals a queen. The rook and bishop for the queen. But his queen is already nicely placed. It's in a battery with the rook. And my rooks aren't even unified. You know, my pieces are not coordinated. Um, I'm thinking it might be best to move my bishop down to d7, where it controls all the dangerous squares of Mr. Knight. Because this knight is moved into dangerous, and then my opponent's bishop would be needing to move. I thought that this last time, um, but I and then my student moved their knight to attack me instead of losing time on their bishop. I'm sorry if my thoughts are a little more jumbled than normal today. I didn't sleep as well last night. That's all there is to it. I just didn't sleep as well last night. All right. So bishop d7. But you know that's going to happen in chess. Some days you're going to need to play. Um, if you're going to play, like the famous thing is 10,000 hours to get good at something, to master a subject, right? 10,000 hours would be a lot of time commitment. If you're going to do that, it means you're going to play when you're tired. You're going to play when you're sick. Um, you're going to play when you're energetic and thoughtful. You're going to play when you're happy. You're going to play when you're upset. In order to get the 10,000 hours, you have to. All right, so my opponent did back off his bishop, which does give me now time to castle, finally. Finally, I have time to castle. As I said, my bishop on d7 is controlling the squares that the dangerous knight, the scary knight, would be using. The queen and rook are lined up on my isolated queen's pawn, but that is, protected by my knight quite nicely right now. So, and it's on a light square, so the bishop can't add in any pressure that way. So I'm going to go ahead and castle, finally. Move 17. Took me too long. And now this is going to be an interesting moment for my student, because really his pieces are in good locations, minus, even this bishop's in a good location because it's controlling d8, which I would like to put a rook in the same file as my opponent's queen. So his pieces are in really good position, and he has an advantage of, um, he's winning in terms of force because his pieces are in a great position, and he's winning in terms of material because he is up a pawn. But he needs to come up with a winning plan. So the first thing he does, and this is a common idea, when you castle queenside, sometimes it's good to take a moment to tighten up your defenses over there. Move the king to the proper location. And then I'm probably going to be playing b6 so that I can activate my rooks as well. Because like I said, his bishop is controlling d8 right now. I don't like that. Now, yeah, when I move the b6 pawn forward, I do create some light square weakness, but I got my bishop controlling his knight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm feeling a little more comfortable now. Objectively, white has a better position than I do, but I'm feeling more comfortable because I am castled and I've completed my opening goals. Pawn in the center, castle, and my rooks are unified. So I've completed my 3 opening goals. Um, okay, let's consider the trade option here. If bishop takes, queen's sitting up there. How does this look for an endgame? This is going to get into a difficult endgame. Let's see. So I've got bishop takes b4 to consider. I've got bishop c5 to consider, right? And then I've got the knight e4 idea, which is more dangerous and takes more time to calculate. So again, I got to go to my checks, captures, and threats and really analyze these things. Usually I'm a little better at narrating while I'm the knight e4 move. The knight to e4 move. Bishop c5 would take care of my isolated queen's pawn, but it creates another pawn island. Let's talk about pawn islands for a second. You don't want to have 3 pawn islands. So if I play bishop c5, I have 2 pawns in the center, 1 pawn over here, and 3 pawns over here, right? I have 3 pawn islands, as we say. Knight e4. I'm looking at the options for his queen. It improves my knight. He could return the favor, but it doesn't work. I mean, return the favor by trading a bishop and a rook for a queen. But see, when my knight would take his queen, it would be check. So I'm going to play knight e4. Oh, and sip some more coffee. This is a tough game. Once again, my name is Chris Torres. I am a correspondence chess master, Cal Chess Scholastic Coordinator, Cal Chess Journal Editor, longtime chess coach. I am playing a game against my student who is beating me right now, and a simulated tournament training game. So after we finish the game, I'll go back to a private Zoom call with the student, and we will talk about what we did good and what we did not do good during this game. One thing I did not do good was the opening. Okay, so my opponent needed to move the queen but maintain connection to the bishop. Now I could take the bishop and then win a pawn. I could do the trade now and do that. Do I want to win the pawn back right now, though? Looks like I might need to because my bishop is in fact pinned to my rook. It is in fact pinned to my rook. So this guy's not doing anything other than on the diagonal with his counterpart. My isolated queen's pawn is going to be getting weaker in a moment because that knight's going to move. My opponent's knight's going to move. I see some variations here. So like if bishop takes, queen takes, and then if I do take knight, knight takes pawn, then rook is probably going to move up a square to stay in the file. And then my knight's over over here, and I need to do something to defend the knight. And when I move the knight back, then I'm going to um, have a weak center pawn. I can get back. Then when my opponent's knight moves, then I need to get back to f6 even. All right. Okay. This pawn, I'm worried about my isolated queen's pawn. I don't like the direction this endgame. I'm happy to get the pawn back, but it costs me time, right? I'm happy to get the pawn back, but it does cost me some time. So I get the pawn back. And I'm playing a little faster in these situations than maybe I normally would. Because look at the time situation. I've already used 2/3 of my time. And it looks like we're going to get into a hard endgame. Normally, endgames I feel pretty secure um, that I can play well just because of experience with less time, because I do have a lot of endgame experience. However, a imbalanced endgame such as we're heading toward is a hard endgame. So my name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. We have a wonderful community on chess.com, the Daily Chess Musings Chess Club. You should join. It is free. We do lots of fun stuff there. Thousands of free lessons on dailychessmusings.com. Okay, so my opponent attacked the rook in a slightly different way, or attacked the knight. See, I'm a little tired. You can see I'm messing up, but this sets up a nice arrangement, by the way, between the king and rook for black for me. Um, so what I would like to do is come back here, then remove the guard, and then pop my knight there and fork the king and rook. And I need to do that fast because, like I said, I am low on time. So there's a couple ways I can distract things here. If my opponent attempts to do something with their knight, um, for example, if it comes over here, I would just take with my bishop. Queen would take, and then I get the fork. Otherwise, I could play a5, which forces the queen to leave this diagonal, because the knight is already taking these two, and if my pawn takes this one, no matter where the queen goes, then I get the fork. So I'm seeing a good opportunity based on the relationship between the king and rook. Now there is this kind of strange move here. It's not really strange, but it messes with my plan a little bit. The knight f4. Because then if I play a5, my opponent can throw in a check, perhaps. I have to move. And then the queen needs to keep guarding, so it could go back to e1, which still guards. That is a possibility. Yeah, the chess.com drills are fantastic. Chess.com drills are fantastic. I use those regularly with my students. Such an advantage having that kind of technology versus a couple decades ago when most things were done. All right. So the variation that we discussed is the one that is going to happen. So again, I'm looking heavily at A5 right now. It sets up a lot of helter-skelter stuff that I was just drawing out. Um, there's also, bishop takes knight. Um, but, see, my pawn just is getting weaker, right? And the rook's already threatening it. I guess if I play bishop takes knight, rook takes, then... all right, so if I play bishop takes and then rook takes, then my knight could come back to f6. So I'm looking at these two possibilities right now quite heavily. A5 is trying to win with a tactic. Bishop takes knight is trying to hang on to my isolated queen's pawn and get a draw. Again, look at the checks, captures, and threats. I have a video on this methodology I use. I'm using it heavily today because I am tired. I have a video, it's called Chess Think, it's on YouTube, and I go through checks, captures, and threats. There's one other possibility, looking at the checks, captures, and threats I haven't mentioned yet, and that is bishop e6 is also a possibility. So I could take, the more I look at the pawn a5, the more I'm thinking it doesn't quite work right now. It doesn't quite work right now. And the more I look at bishop e6, the more I'm starting to like it, because it strengthens that. What am I doing with my arrows? It strengthens that isolated queen's pawn so that I can keep my knight on the outpost, so my knight doesn't have to return to defend it. I'm going to go with bishop e6. Again, this is I'm putting up some stiff resistance against my student now, and this is really the point where we could get a lot of information about what we need to work on. I'm also down to 539, so I'm going to have to start playing faster, which is going to be difficult in this kind of endgame. I could still throw in this a5 idea. a5 forces queen e1. Then I can do something with my a rook. So what I'm planning to do is play a5, which would force queen e1, and then I can maybe move my a rook to the c file, semi-open file, or to the d file, get it behind the isolated queen's pawn. I'll have to look at my options there. Possibly even the b file. But yeah, I haven't touched my a rook in this game. See, I've touched every other piece. I touched the F rook because I castled. You want to touch all your pieces, and we're 23 moves in, and I haven't used one of them. My students giving this a big thought right now. We're actually even material. And I kind of am starting to like my piece coordination a little bit more now. I'm starting to like it a little bit more. Ah, now see, he moved his king to tighten the castle, and now he's moving his king back. Fascinating. That means I can't play. I can't play a6, a5 as I was planning to do. Um, but potentially what I can play is, and I need to play faster. Nope, 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 nope. That falls to the fork, Chris. If I play rook c8, see this knight's hanging out ready to fork me. We don't like that. Maybe I should kick the knight, get it out of there. I mean, yeah, it'll fork me. It check me, but it doesn't have. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I have to play fast. I'm down to 442 now. So I attack the knight with a pawn. If knight e7 check, then I'm gonna play king g7 because my knight is guarding um, c3, so the queen can't harm me just yet. Normally, you don't want to, scoot a pawn forward to create weakness around your king like this. But also, we don't want this knight just hanging out. It's not good for my health. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. Go to dailychessmusings.com for thousands of free lessons. Literally thousands of free lessons are available on dailychessmusings.com. Great chess games from today and all of chess history. Presented and it has a nice search bar on the blog, so you can look up your favorite players. If your favorite player is Viswanathan Anand, just type in Viswanathan Anand or just Anand, and you'll find you know, few dozen few dozen lessons on Anand. If your favorite player is Magnus Carlsen, same thing. Trying to get rid of this knight. It has two modes of coming in and checking me. Either way, I'm going to be moving my king forward to step out of check. I'm not going to pre-move that, however, because, yeah, pre-moving is a very dangerous thing to do if you don't need to. It feels like this entire game, my opponent's been the one on the attack. If you really, if you really look at it, and so in that sense, he's done a very good job. He's been in control of the flow. All right. Starting to fidget a little bit. Getting into the real climax of this game. Aha. All right. So what? Okay. Yep. Gives that as a option. Let's see here. Let's attack the knight. Again, playing a little faster. Let's threaten this knight. If it goes here, the pin doesn't work because I would lose d5. Yep. So if the knight goes to c6, it's kind of annoying, and that's what I'm expecting. No, he just takes the pawn because he was attacking it twice, right? Okay, so I missed that. I missed that in my haste to play faster. All right. Oh, and he's forking. He's threatening a fork. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's not good. Well, we can't allow. We've lost our isolated queen's pawn. We cannot allow the fork. So we come. Rook's in the same file as the king. Potentially at some point I would like to move this bishop here. And then, yeah. But I lost my, my isolated queen's pawn. It's probably the best game, toughest game this particular student's ever played against me. So I'm quite proud of his performance. All right. Oh, that is a neat tactic. Checks, captures, threats. Checks, captures, threats. If rook takes, then queen's going to take there, right? I mean, this is bad. I think I'm going to have to play rook e7 perhaps. And then if knight takes, checks, captures, threats. Rook e7, rook e7. All right, we'll go rook e7. Man, this is tough. I don't like this. It's a rook that's not connected to anything. My rook on c8 I don't like. I have two weaknesses, three big targets. Oh man. Yep. Oh. Checks, captures, threats. Checks, captures, threats. All right, so f7 is targeted twice. Oh, look. Knight d6. Knight d6 is the is Knight d6 saves the day. Oh man, I'm hanging on by a shoestring. Now I may lose a pawn over here, right? Yep. Queen takes a7. Um, I would like to connect my rooks, and I'm going to do that right now. So my rooks are connected. My opponent is going to have some dangerous pawns over here. If pieces get traded off, the king and pawn endgame is winning for my student. What? What? What is that? All right, we'll go and attack the queen. Oh no! There's a fork. Short-lived attack. Okay, let's unpin. Things are getting exciting now. Things are getting awful exciting now. Okay, all right. And no. That doesn't quite do it. That doesn't quite do it. That doesn't. Yeah. Checks, captures, threats. So close, so close, so close to something grand. Oh man, checks. Yeah. And then we come out here, right. Oh man, this was fun. If you find this kind of thing fun, like I do. All right, let's circle around here, threatening. Yep. And there's the fork picking up the rook. Oh man, my student gave me a huge run for my money in this game. Huge run for my money. That was a hard game. That was a hard game. I hope you enjoyed, and there's some good drama right there at the end. I'm gonna. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. That was a training game against one of my students. I am a professional chess coach occasionally. Most of the time, we do like to use lessons, to teach the young people what they need to know. But occasionally, we need to also test their understanding. Um, and Yeah, that was a hard game. All right, I'm gonna go back and have a little recap with my student privately. Thank you for watching today. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. I will see you again in the near future. Bye.